let's talk about brows. This is going to be geared specifically to people that have fantasy color in their hair because there are not many brands that make brow pencils or pomades or powders to match fantasy color. That just means we have to think outside of the box and find something that works for us. If you don't know me, my name is Jen. I've worked for NARS Cosmetics for the last 4 years. I've worked for Urban Decay. I've worked for a multitude of different brands, and I've been in the industry even longer. My favorite thing to do is teach, and I love makeup. So when those two things are combined, here we are. All right, let's get started. I'm going to show you what I do to give myself a little bit of, depth, to make it look natural. People, obviously this is not a real color of hair, but they do look pretty realistic. Now today I'm just going to show you what I use for my red hair, but this brand has a lot of different colors, and I'm sure that you'll be able to find a color to match your Vivid. Without further ado, About Face, their eye paint. It is my holy grail for my brows. It is freaking amazing. So I use 3 products to get this look, but the About Face is the only one that I say is a non-negotiable. The second product is the Goof Proof Brow Powder from Benefit. You could use any brow powder. I just prefer this one. And the third product to make like the individual hair strokes to make it look realistic is right now I've been using the Urban Decay, the ink side of their brow blade, or you could use the L'Oreal Paris Faux Brow. NYX makes ones, their Lift and Snatch, anything like that. All right, let's get into this. So I'm going to take my About Face in Screams of Consciousness, their liquid eye paint. I'm not going to use this to fill my brow in. We're going to use an angled brush. That way we have more control. So I'm going to take one and I'm just going to saturate the brush so that way it's very sharp. And now I'm just going to outline the underneath of my brow. And you got to remember, they're sisters, not twins. We want to get them as close to even as the other side, but they don't have to be perfect because we will be cleaning it up. See, I already made a mistake. I'm just going to take this brush and kind of clean it up before it dries. So I'm just going to take it underneath. That way we kind of have the shape. Now I'm going to take that same brush and whatever is left, I'm just going to start swooping up from that bottom line. Now I'm going to dip back in and we're going to start about halfway and trace the top and then fill it in. All right, so it's all filled in, and obviously this looks crazy. I would never just wear this out. This is where the brow powder and the brow blade ink stain comes in. I'm going to take a dry brush, one that has not been used for the eye paint, so you might need maybe 2 angled brushes for this look. And then I'm just going to start filling in the tail. And when you do this, you don't want to disturb the eye paint that we just used underneath because it's a cream. So I'm really light-handed, and towards the tail, I'm going to stamp. That way it doesn't remove that red. All right, we got the tail all filled in, and now I'm going to go towards the front on the bottom, really, really light, and then brush up. Now I'm going to go in with my brow blade, the ink stain side, and I'm just going to start at the front and just start pulling up. And then filling it in. They're starting to look a little bit even now. And then from here on, you can kind of go back and forth because I'm going to try to match them. And I've noticed that there's a little bit more red through here than in here. So I'm just going to go back in with my eye paint and that brush, and I'm going to do that little flipping motion again, or flicking motion, just so we can get them as even as possible. The very last step of this tutorial, which you can also add a brow gel if you have longer hair. I don't have much hair. I actually shave half of my tail off, so I really don't need a brow gel. You do you. So for the last step, you can use any concealer for this. You can use your foundation. I'm going to use the NARS Pot Concealer in Vanilla, and we're going to carve it out. And this is where I'm going to make them appear more even. But like I said, sisters, not twins. I'm going to take a flat brush, dip into that pot concealer, and then I kind of just eyeball it, like that starts there, so I'm going to bring it there, just like that. And I'm going to underline the bottom of my brow. I can't do this while talking, so I just wanted to get that out there. And then pull down. And that will carve it out and make it look very sharp. And then after that, we're just going to take a brush or your finger and kind of blend out that concealer. This one is my NARS Soft Matte Concealer brush. Now this last step is optional. You don't have to clean up the top, but I like to. And to do that, I'm not going to use my concealer because it would be too light above my brow. I actually have some foundation. I'm just going to use that to go above. I just like a really, really sharp brow. So we're just going to kind of clean her up. And then just like we did with the other, you can use your finger or a brush. We're just gonna tap it out. It's really hard to do this in the camera. And there you have it. I went ahead off camera and cleaned them up, but those are my brows and they match my hair. And like I said, it'll work for any color because they make a ton of different colors in these. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I love to be helpful, and yeah, have a great day. Bye.